So D5 Render has dropped their new version 3.0 and it's absolutely amazing. Today we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you some of the new features that it has on a brand new interior project that I have open right here in SketchUp on the screen. So first of all, I want to show you something which a lot of you have complained in the comment section about, saying that your computer cannot handle D5. Well, D5 has now launched D5 Lite, which is still a beta mode, but basically you can almost run it on any kind of computer. As you can see, it loaded up so quickly, and now we can basically just lower the exposure a bit. And I mean, this is a pretty good looking render compared to the amount of time that it took to load this up, and compared to the fact that it's so easy to basically run this up in almost any kind of computer. Here you can find the render mode and also the AI mode as well. Basically, inside the AI mode, let's go through this real quick. This is the history of like changes or anything like that. You can capture the view from SketchUp. Here we can choose styles. So we have residential, interior, architecture, and then we can find, for example, any kind of view that fits our style more, right? So we can go, for example, to vintage, dining room, kitchen, vintage kitchen. We can choose vintage kitchen here, and then we can click generate. And in just a few minutes, we can do like an AI view based on what we have from the view of D5 Lite. So here we have 4 renders that were done with AI. As you can see, this is all right. And I mean, this is pretty good compared to what amount of work that we put in, and it took it from this view to the one that I just showed you right there. And then obviously we can also add references in order to match it. So for example, I can use this picture on Pinterest. I can just basically screenshot it. We can add this as a reference image and we can click generate. We can also add some sort of prompt. We can also decide how many images we wanted. So I'm going to be a bit more cautious with the number of images this time. We're going to do only 1. And now let's see what it actually creates based on that reference image. So now this time around, as you can see, it kind of matched the flooring a bit better. It kind of matched the materials a bit better. There's still a lot of sunlight coming in, but that's because of our model, which doesn't have any kind of closings in terms of windows or anything like that. You can see how useful this can be. Now, once again, this is just wonderful in terms of what we are able to do now with D5. And if you go to like the render mode, which is not with AI, we can add a scene, we can add a view, and just like we would be able to do that in the default D5 render. Over here, we can change the temperature, saturation, some main effects. We can also add an HDRI. We can go with a custom sun. So for example, we can change the altitude, the azimuth in terms of where the sun comes from. This is if we want to do auto exposure or manual exposure. And this is basically the way that we can set the exposure. Do we want it auto or basically disable it? And then the material editor, which we can get anything from SketchUp, Light Editor, opening the asset library, and also the output settings once we want to render something out. Now, something else which I absolutely love from D5 is the release of D5 Works, which is still in beta, but over here you're going to be able to find a bunch of assets. There's 42,000 3D models here, 2,200 materials here. Now we can go to residential interiors, and then we can go to kitchens. And I'm going to show you exactly how we can use this. So we can go for the D5 format for the free and the D5 Pro ones. So for example, we can find this sort of kitchen accessory, and by the way, this is where I got the scene as well. Just for showcasing purposes, we can click open in D5 now, and then once D5 is launched, we can basically use it just like that from the web, which I think is absolutely brilliant, because not only is this useful if you want to download assets for your own use, I think this is super useful for anyone who wants to earn a bit of extra money with the assets they've created to put it in the marketplace and then sell them there. All right, so now that we are inside the D5, what I'm going to do is, first of all, let's just create a new scene. Let's click on the edit camera. Let's go to aspect ratio 16:9. Let's increase the field of view just a little bit, and then we can just update the scene for now. So now if we just go at use in D5, we can press use D5 launcher, and then we can go right here on our D5 window. We can just make this a bit smaller. Hanging board and kitchen, basically an accessory, not that it fits perfectly here, is just to kind of show you how we can use D5 Works. And honestly, in my opinion, this is just great for the community, great for the users, and great for anyone who just wants to, generate just a little bit of extra revenue through D5 in the marketplace, and also save time by not having to 3D model everything manually, right? So we can also lower this a bit. Then if we go here at Studio, we also have presets that we can use. So if we go at D5 curated, we can find, for example, this interior day preset, and we can just click once. We can double click, and now these settings will be applied onto our window here. We can just leave the settings like that for now. Let me just show you something which I absolutely love as a feature. So if we go here at material, we can go to AI material snap, and then we can basically just upload that same kitchen we used earlier. And then we have materials which are generated based on this, which is the flooring. So now we can just pick it up, right? So we can go from an image to material, we can apply it right onto our flooring here. And now, as you can see, we have that onto our render. I mean, that's just absolutely amazing. And it's just one of my favorite features that D5 has to offer. Obviously, there is a lot more, like for example, if we choose, for example, this material, we can go here and we can do a texture enhancer in order to make it ultra HD, and then also make it seamless all with AI, by the way, which I think is absolutely brilliant. And it has helped me a lot of time to just find something online which might not be a seamless material or not as high quality, but still make it work inside D5. So I'm gonna go to effect, I'm gonna turn on ambient occlusion, not too high of a radius. So I can also try out another preset for like interior day. Let's go to recommended presets. Let's just try this one. This one seems a bit more balanced as an overall setting. By the way, I can see that this section over here, I used to use it a lot before. Nowadays, I barely use it unless I want very high customizability, but you can see that in just a few minutes, you do not even have to get it in terms of like advanced optimization to get a very high quality render with D5, because most of the stuff is closely and very precisely being automated with AI nowadays. I'm going to go ahead here at the lights. I'm going to add a artificial light which will serve as a fake sun for us. So I will, let me just update the scene first, and let me just take this out here. Let me increase its size, width, and height, and let me get this a bit higher. And then we can just leave it like this for now. And in just a second, we're gonna go, let's just create the render as it is at the moment. And what we'll do is that I will show you some post-processing techniques with AI, which are gonna make this look a lot better compared to what it is right now, because it is very basic. We basically barely touched any settings here, didn't go into optimizing materials, lighting, anything like that, because I'm going to show you how AI is going to do most of the job for us and how we can get a very realistic render in just a few minutes. So we're going to click AI post-processing. We're going to select this. So this is the base render. It is all right, not that great yet, because now we're going to go here. I'm going to just do some basic style transferring without any reference image, just from the basic templates that D5 offers. So let's do just one spring, we can do one autumn. These are more specialized for exteriors, but it can have some impact in terms of how our colors here appear. But if we go here, and then if we go to uploading a reference image, we can basically upload that same kitchen reference that we've been using throughout the whole video, and we can just tell it to do a style transfer. And in fact, just for the sake of experimentation, I can also add one more reference image here. So then we have 4 images to compare. And then once that's uploaded, I'm going to do AI style transfer. In case we like this better, the default one, we can also just do a AI enhancer to basically improve all of the textures overall. And then all of these features here, like smart retouch, sky, water, vegetation, and everything else, these are all very useful for post-processing, which act a bit like something like Photoshop would act. So this is the first generation. This is basically just the bare AI enhancer without any kind of like stylizing, just making it sharper. This one should be the spring one. As you can see, it's in the interior, but it kind of gave it that a reflection of some sort of spring in the outside and the lighting. And then we have this other one, which is the fall one, which I really like, by the way. So this looks very nice, and it's enhanced very good. This is from our reference image. This one came out absolutely wonderful. I'm loving this. Wow, this is so cool. So this is probably going to be used in the thumbnail, and then I mean, you can see with how little input of ours this is being done. I mean, it's crazy times where we come from, and if you've told me like 5 years ago that this would be possible when I started doing architecture rendering, then I know for sure that I wouldn't believe this. This is crazy. And then for the final generation, I'm not sure anything can beat this, but let's give it a try. No, this is way too heavy, but this is just great. And I mean, let me know what you think in the comments below. Go ahead and try the new version of D5 in the link in the description. If you want to see a full free course on D5, you can go ahead and check the video right here.